So that video was actually perfect last week when I played it on a Boots to Business when we were full of snow and ice. But now that we're in tropical 60-degree weather, it's a little bit different. But you get the idea there. We like to imagine this gentleman just opened a little retail spot off post somewhere in the military post area there, maybe Fort Leonard Wood. And he's got everything ready to go, got all his I's dotted, got all his T's crossed. And of course, the night before he's supposed to open the store, his retail spot, he's got all his former soldiers coming in. He's got all, his patrons, his friends coming to the store right at 9 o'clock when he opens for the big grand opening. And of course, a snowstorm rolls in. But he gets up early, shovels it all off. And of course, as soon as he shuts the door, it falls off and he's got to do it all over again. And the lesson I like to take out of this video is, I kind of crafted the lesson around it, is we may not be able to be the boots on the ground for you in the day-to-day and actually shovel the snow for you as much as I would love to help you out and do that. But we can help you out with the big picture stuff. So you can focus on those little things that come up when you start your business or you're in your entrepreneurship journey. So that's really the lesson for this kind of 1 hour presentation we have today. There are resources out here to support you. You've already paid for them with your tax dollars and with your service. So why not use them? And we are one of those resources for you. I'll talk more about kind of the resource partner network we're involved in. If you've ever heard of the Small Business Administration or SBA, Small Business Development Center or SBDC, the VBOC, Veterans Business Outreach Center, which you see there, and then also SCORE and Women's Business Center. We all fall under the SBA. So the SBA is a big tree and we're kind of one of the branches on those trees. A little bit more about us. I should introduce myself, of course, now that I've gotten this far, and I'm going to check the chat box right after this slide and see what you guys said for your introduction. But who are we? What do we believe? My name is Mitchell Fitzpatrick. Like I said, I served 4 years active duty in the Army, and then I did 4 years in the reserves here in St. Louis. I actually just finished that up last winter, finished up my 8 years of service there. So I'm a completely free man now, doing God's work here for the VBOC. That's a joke, but yeah. So who are we? What do we believe as the Veterans Business Resource Center? We really believe in being that concierge level service. So, when you go to the Ritz-Carlton, they give you everything you need before you even have to ask for it. And that's kind of what we're striving to be here. The vanguard for serving our transitioning veterans and military spouses covering the 5-state region, which I talked about a little bit earlier. What do we believe? We believe training is the most essential part of starting a business. We have subject matter experts that can assist you with understanding business plans, financials, marketing, sales, human resource management, and other essential topics. So you can really sum that up as just anything you need in your business from A to Z. We are here to help you. And we really want to give you that one-on-one service, that concierge level service. A lot of times people see the SBA or they see the VBOC logo and they think, this is some big organization across the nation. And if I sign up for the services, I might just get lost in the shuffle. That's not true at all. We're here with you every step of the way. We really want that connection with you. So why not reach out and talk to us? And I'm going to check the chat box right now. Give me just a second. See who we have in the class here. We've got Bob, retired Navy from St. Louis, realtor inside Passive Income Hustles. Okay, perfect. Nice to meet you, Bob. Dan, veteran in the U.S. Air Force's run one-person consultant for Mattering Strategy. Got it. Nice, Dan. And Ray from Illinois Army National Guard, veteran looking to start a consulting business. Yeah, consulting we've really seen in this 2020 moving into 2021. People are really looking to get in consulting and then also online business. So that's definitely trending up. Deanna, U.S. Air Force retired, lots of pro bono work, looking to maybe make some income through a passion project. Loved your Boots to Business course in 2016. Oh, perfect. Yeah. A large part of what we do is the Boots to Business course and reboot courses. So I'm glad to see you enjoyed your experience there. That's definitely a great course. If anybody's interested, I can give you that information, give you the link for that after this class. But that is a great course. It's got 8 modules total, kind of that 10,000 foot overview of what it takes to start a business. Lawanda, Air Force veteran, looking for general information haven't yet started your private practice. Perfect. And then Kathy, I'm a disabled vet interested in gig economy. Yeah, that is perfect. That is definitely something you can prosper in. So I'm glad. Thanks for introducing yourself. That gives me a little bit of idea of who's in the class as I move forward here. So some questions to ask yourself. This is just getting you in that entrepreneurial mindset. And again, I mean, in an hour, we're not going to be able to get into everything in entrepreneurship. We're not going to be able to get super deep into everything in everybody's individual situation. But these questions can help you get in that entrepreneurial mindset for this course, get you thinking about your idea or your private practice, your service, or your item that you're selling. Is there a prototype of the entrepreneur? Are entrepreneurs different from managers? Is there a better time to pursue entrepreneurship? That question, that third question right there, is there a better time to pursue entrepreneurship? We do get asked that a lot. And it could sound like that, or it could sound like, is now a good time to start a business? And the answer we always like to provide is yes. If you are ready to start your business or you're ready to pursue entrepreneurship, there's no reason why you can't do it. We're just one of the resources there to help you. We will help you every step along the way. Everything you need from A to Z, we are here to help. And as our president, if you've never met her, Darcella Craven, she's been everywhere and done everything for the VBOC for the past 15 years. So you might have heard of her or talked to her at one point, but she always likes to say, if we don't have the answer, we have the right resource partner who does. So we'll get you to the right resource partner at the right time and get you the right answer. We're not afraid to tell you, we're not the best suited for this, but maybe the SBDC can help you, or maybe the SBA is the best suited for this. We're not afraid to, give you that one-on-one handoff, make sure you're getting taken care of in the best way. What makes for a successful entrepreneur? And this question, this last one, can people be taught to be entrepreneurs? There was a funny story. One of the VBOC directors out of New Mexico, his name is Rich Koffel. I heard him tell, he's been doing these classes for years and years now, been a VBOC director in New Mexico, as I stated. And he was in a Boots to Business class one time, and he asked this question, can people be taught to be entrepreneurs? And he said, raise your hand if you think people can be taught to be entrepreneurs. And he said only one guy, a sergeant major sitting in the front row, raised his hand. And then that sergeant major looked back at everybody in the classroom and he said, well, if people can't be taught to be entrepreneurs, what are you all doing here? So that was kind of a interesting little note to me. I think people can be taught to be entrepreneurs as long as you are ready to do it and you're ready to take that leap forward. Sherrod, born and raised in St. Louis, not a vet, but an author and a part-time student. My day job is working at the hospital. Want to open your own business, whether it be a publishing company or notary, and do some ghostwriting projects. Yeah, so using that creativity. Thanks for introducing yourself, Sherrod. Yeah, and like I said at the very beginning, even if you're not a veteran or a military spouse, a lot of these same, although we may not be able to help you because we are geared towards veterans, we're never going to turn you away. So if you come to the VBOC, even if you're not a veteran, we will still help you out. SBA, SBDC, all these resource partners, you don't have to be a veteran to take advantage of. So veterans and business ownership, I really like some of these statistics. I'm going to skip over to the right-hand side for just a second here. Veterans own about 9.1%. That's 2.5 million total of the small businesses in the United States. And we think about that number and you really start digging into it. That is really impressive when you really think about it, because depending on where you get your statistics or who you talk to, only 1% or 2% of the entire population serves in the volunteer-based military as it stands today. So the fact that only 1% or 2% serve and 9.1% of the small businesses in the United States are owned by veterans really tells you something. There's really a pattern there, and there's a reason for that. So skipping back over to the left-hand side there, if I were in the classroom, I'd ask you, kind of your thoughts on this, but being that we're in the virtual environment, I'll just kind of go through these skills and attributes that you have as a veteran that transfer over to entrepreneurship and really help build that 9.1% number there. So you've got mission focused, critical thinker. I don't care whether you've been in the military one day in your life or you've been a military spouse one day in your life, and then you got discharged for medical reasons or other reasons, or, you did 20 years, 20 plus years, and you retired military. You've had to be mission focused and be a critical thinker at some point during your career. Being a problem solver, team management, values, relationships, those two kind of go hand in glove to me. Being able to, if you're an NCO or you're an officer, have soldiers underneath you. That's managing a team. Whether you're thinking about it consciously or not, while you're in the process, that is managing a team. And then valuing relationships, being able to speak to people of different ranks, being able to address people differently, knowing how people like to be talked to, different personalities, that transfers perfectly over to entrepreneurship. And of course, as we saw from that video, being flexible and being resilient. When the snow fell down, he could easily give up and just say, today's not my day. I really wanted to open today, but that snowstorm is just really taking it out of me. Or you can pick up that snow shovel off that driveway, get it ready to go. So when people come through the door, they're really impressed and they're happy to be there. So being flexible and being resilient. Being persistent, not taking no for an answer. We've all heard that. Being ethical and being reliable. Those are keys to entrepreneurship. I see, Ryan, you raised your hand. Did you have a question? Okay, I'll give it a second, but if maybe it's just on accident.
Sorry, Mitchell, it was on accident, man.
Oh,
I'm
no.
not able to see the chat here, but I'm hanging in, bro. Thank you.
Okay, no worries at all. Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, if anybody has anything at any point, feel free to either drop it in the chat box or you can unmute yourself. Obviously, being virtual, I can't see you, so feel free. You can interrupt me if I'm going too fast or you have anything for me at any point.
Call has been forwarded to an automatic voice.
So some things to consider. Somebody's getting a voicemail there. Understanding your KSAs. So write down your KSAs. We like to break it down as knowledge, skills, and abilities. It's just a good rule of thumb, something you can do to analyze yourself before you ever start digging into that business plan. Some people skip that stage. They talk about, I really want to get in my business. So I've got my lean business model canvas and I'm starting to work on my business plan and this, and this, and you get too far ahead of yourself because it's really exciting. You're starting your own business and you want to get it up and running as soon as possible so you can make $5 million and retire in Bora Bora. That's the goal for everybody, but really analyze yourself before you start moving into your business. So understanding your personal KSAs, write down, as it says there, your knowledge, your formal learning. So that could be, I'm going to use military examples for this since this is mostly veterans and military spouses on the call, but you can apply this to anything. Your high school, education, your college education, your post-grad education, and it could even be military leadership class. So if I went through, warrior leaders course or basic leaders course, as they call it now in the Army, I could write that down as formal learning. I received a certificate at the end. Skills. Informal learning. So that would be more soft skills, basic things like those skills and attributes we talked about on the previous slide. That would be a good example of soft skills. So being ethical, being persistent, being reliable, all those sort of soft skills that you have and you've acquired over your career. Write those down because those could be important to you. Abilities. This is a good way to break it down. I don't know how to do blank, but then I knew how to do blank. So at some point in our career, whether it was working at our W-2 jobs or whether we were in the military or military spouse, I didn't know how to do something and somebody taught me how to do that. And now I know how to do it. So kind of train the trainer there. I didn't know how to do it. Now I know how to do it and I can show somebody else how to do it. So what are those abilities that you've acquired over your career? Really write those things down and reflect on it. Take inventory of the people in your life. I like to think of this next one. It says cheerleaders, listeners, antagonists. I like to think of those as your own personal sort of focus group. So the cheerleaders, everybody knows who they are, your friends and family. You bring an idea to them, your business idea to them, and you say, I've got this idea. This is what I want to do. This is my product or service. And they're just excited for you. If they're, your friends and family, I hope they're excited for you, but they just can't wait till you do it, and break them off a piece of the profits. Of course, that's what everybody's looking for. But those would be your cheerleaders. Your listeners, those will be the people, maybe mentors or, leadership in the military or other soldiers you respect in the military, kind of that you came up with, or, personal, professional contacts on LinkedIn, those sorts of things. Listeners, you bring an idea to them and they actually, kind of consider and they actually think about what you're saying before they spit their feedback out at you. Excuse me. And then you've got your antagonists. Everybody knows these people. You put something. I used to like LinkedIn a lot. I used to use LinkedIn a lot, but it seems like over the years, I'm still on there, but it seems like over the years, anything anybody posts, even if it's like meant to be positive in some light, it turns kind of into a Facebook post, even though it's supposed to be a professional LinkedIn site. People got their opinions and they want to say why this is bad or why they shouldn't be posting this. So that's kind of an example of an antagonist. You bring an idea or a service to them and you say, this is my idea. And then they instantly say, well, there's 5 other people doing it. So how are you going to be different? How are you going to set yourself apart? You're never going to make it. Those are kind of the antagonists. And I like to think of these 3 as your own personal focus group. And the truth is usually somewhere in the middle. So you don't want to completely disregard antagonists because they may have something valuable to say, even if it's, laced with venom or, vinegar, you want to at least think about what they're saying. Could I change my business slightly or my service slightly to make it stand out a little bit from the rest of the competition? And then listeners, of course, they're usually somewhere right in the middle. They're saying, actually think about it, actually analyzing it. So they're a good barometer. And then cheerleaders, you want to take what they say with a grain of salt. You don't want to just say, just because these friends and family support me and they think it's great, I don't have to think about anything else. I can just move forward. So you take inventory of the people and actually get their feedback, and that could really help you. And it says up there at the bottom, these things will help you decide your direction moving forward. So some different paths to business ownership, and I'm going to talk about here. We're going to touch on briefly. This is just for people that, are thinking about business, but they're not exactly sure, or maybe they haven't thought of some of these paths to business ownership. New business creation, the first one listed there, which includes nonprofit and social ventures. New business creation is probably the one people associate most with starting a new business or entrepreneurship. They say, I'm going to start a new business. Here's my idea. Here's my service. I'm going to create my business around that from the ground up. Purchase an existing business. There'll be a slide on that, so I'm not going to get too in depth on any of these right now. Employee to ownership, family business succession, and then franchising. So the first one I mentioned briefly already, paths to business ownership, new business creation. That is your own idea from the ground up. With that, you're probably going to have more skin in the game. So it's higher risk, higher reward. Any business, obviously you're putting skin in the game and you're putting kind of your life out there for the business. So there is going to be risk involved in that. But with a new business creation, you're obviously putting your assets at risk. You're kind of putting everything on hold. You're either bootstrapping it yourself or you're getting a loan from the bank. So there is higher risk, higher reward there. Of course, at the end of the day, if it hits big and you have the next Amazon, as these gentlemen seem to be. There we go. Higher risk, higher reward. These gentlemen seem to be doing the next Amazon here, boxing up something in their garage. If it hits big and it becomes the next Amazon, you're obviously going to reap the benefits of that. Greatest control. You can do everything from the ground up. You can build that business plan from the ground up yourself. So you get to mold the business in your own way. You get to decide how things are done. Obviously, it's going to change. It's going to change over time as you bring investors in and as you grow, as you bring staff in. But you can do that initial process of this is how I want my business to be run. Lifestyle implications, we've all heard these. It's that 24/7 mindset of entrepreneurship, which is, being married to the business, and funding can be difficult. I'm just checking my time here. I'm good. Yes and no on that one. The SBA, I want to mention the SBA here briefly. Small Business Administration. If you've never checked out the SBA or the SBA website, they are a great resource for funding if you're having funding difficulties yourself. So this past year, especially, this is, really important to note. Interest rates have really dropped, which is a great thing, right? Interest rates have never been lower. That sounds great, but banks don't want to loan. Private credit unions, private banks don't want to loan right now because the interest rates are so low. So if I walk into my Wells Fargo bank, for example, and I say, I'm looking to get a business loan. I've had a personal account with you for 5 years. For $25,000, I kind of want a micro loan. It's not worth it for them to do it. They're actually going to lose money on the time they spend on the low interest rate loan that they give me. So that is something to consider. So going through the SBA has various loan programs they can help you out with. 7A loan program is one of them. And then also the SBA does loan guarantees. So why banks love to work with the SBA is because they have that loan guarantee, which means it's usually 70 to 85% typically of the loan is guaranteed through the SBA. So even if I default on it as the, lendee of that loan, the SBA will pay back at least 70 to 85% of that loan. So the bank knows no matter what, they're getting at least that amount of money back. And I should mention the SBA website is pretty simple. It's sba.gov. If you want to check that out, there's different tabs on their website, on their homepage there. One is for funding specifically, and there's some for local assistance, and you can just find, tools and templates on there as well. So that's a great resource you can use. Business processes and infrastructure must be created. That is a kind of glass half full, glass half empty sort of thing. It is a lot of work. So that's the glass half empty side. And then glass half full would be, I get to create everything in my image from the ground up, exactly how I want it to be. So that's glass half full, glass half empty, depends on how you look at that. Next one up on the docket, purchase an existing business. When first coming out of the military or thinking about starting a business, this one isn't always top of mind. It's usually new business creation or franchising. You're kind of on one of those two paths, but this can be fruitful as well. There are businesses out there looking to sell, and there are ones that are looking to sell specifically to veterans and military spouses because they know that you have those skills and attributes they're looking for in a business owner. They don't want to just sell it and then all of a sudden you run the business into the ground. Do your research. That honestly could be on every slide of every presentation that you ever see in entrepreneurship. Do your research before you get into something. You inherit the good, the bad, and the ugly. That includes the brand, customers, and reputation that business already holds. So something you can do with this, you've got primary market research, and then you've got secondary market research. Secondary market research is really easy to do on your own, especially in 2021. You're holding a phone in your hand right now watching this presentation, or you're on a laptop or a desktop computer or an iPad, whatever you're watching this presentation on, and you have internet, you can do secondary market research yourself. Simply go to Google or your favorite search engine, ask Jeeves if that still exists, and just type in that business that you're looking to purchase or that you have an inkling about. Any business that's worth their salt in 2020 moving into 2021 should have some sort of internet presence, whether it's a Facebook web page for their business, or it's simply, they have their own Google reviews and Yelp reviews in their own website, or their own social media. Not everybody's going to have social media. Not everybody's going to be spun up on that. So that's not necessarily a red flag, but they should have some sort of internet presence. Establish processes and relationships. And I should mention with that previous bullet, on that secondary market research you're doing, you can spot trends in the business, especially if they have reviews. If it's something like a retail store or a restaurant or a bar you're purchasing, they should have some sort of reviews, and you should be able to spot trends. So example would be if I'm purchasing a bar and 5 years ago, that bar had super good ratings, all 4 and 5 star reviews. The service was good. Everybody liked the food. There were no major complaints. And then 2 years ago, for whatever reason, it started going downhill. A lot of 1 and 2 star reviews, People didn't like the service as much. They didn't like the management team. They didn't like how they were treated. They didn't like how the food was made. And you can spot trends like that. And there's probably a reason for that. Maybe it's something as simple as they brought in a new management team and that new management team was just not good. And you can fix that yourself. Or maybe it's something like the owner went back to their W-2 job and they kind of put the business on the back burner off to the side. They kind of let the business go a little bit. So that's how you can spot trends on your own without going on and doing a bunch of market research that you have to pay for. Establish processes and relationships. So they may have relationships and processes already with supply lines. They have a business plan of some sort already that you can obviously edit and take a look at, but they should have those processes and relationships already in tow. Negotiate the purchase method, reduce risk. You're the one doing all the research. So if you think the price they're asking is unfair based on their financial projections, you can negotiate that. And then the last one there, get good advisors. That could be on every slide as well. We use in the Boots to Business and Reboot classes, we talk about the idea of a BAIL team, and BAIL, B-A-I-L, is another acronym. There's another acronym for you, for all you vets and military spouses out there. But the B in BAIL team stands for bankers. The A stands for accountants. The I stands for insurance agents or insurance brokers. And then the L stands for legal team or lawyers. And that's just a good rule of thumb. People you want to have around you in your corner, even if you're running a smaller business and you don't need these people on retainer all the time, because that can get super expensive, obviously. If you're a corporation or you're growing really fast, you may need to have these people on retainer all the time. But if you're just a smaller business or a side hustle, it's just a good idea to have a relationship with these people. So you don't necessarily have to, shell out a lot of money to answer every question every day for you, but you want to have a relationship with these people. So when something does come up in your company or, a problem's at your doorstep, you're not going to that lawyer and saying, hey, my name is this, I do this, and here's my problem. And now they kind of have to do catch up and you're behind the 8 ball. If you already have a relationship with the lawyer, they already know who you are, what you're doing in your business, and a problem comes to your doorstep, you can just say, hey, this is my problem. How do we solve it? And you're already off and running. So that is a good idea, just to have a relationship with those kinds of people. People ask, how do I get a relationship with the lawyer? A lot of lawyers, you can do a lot of research on your own. There are law services that will do office hours, sometimes at public libraries. So the STL public library, not in person right now, obviously being virtual, but eventually I think they'll start doing those things again. And then the KC Metropolitan Library, they do them as well. I think they do what's called office hours. Well, they'll have a lawyer or an accountant or somebody of that nature come in, sit in, and kind of set up their office there for a few hours. Maybe it's a 2-hour block of time or a 4-hour block of time. And you can come in and just ask them general questions. So that is a good idea, a good way to get a relationship with the lawyer. And then also, most lawyers will give you an hour of their time for free. So that initial hour, if you find a lawyer online that you think would be a good fit for you, give them a call, set up that initial meeting, and they'll give you that first hour of their time for free to see if it's a fit. And if it's not, they usually have somebody in their Rolodex that they feel would be a better fit for you, and they can recommend them. And then you can have that same talk with them and see if it's a good fit. So that is just one way to do it. Same idea with accountants. Some people like to do their taxes on their own, even their business taxes. If you're running like a sole proprietorship, you can put your business taxes on your personal 1040. That's getting a little into the weeds, but some people like to do that themselves. So being familiar with that is definitely something that I would recommend to anybody, is be familiar with your taxes, even if you don't necessarily do them yourselves. But having an accountant on your side, so if you start getting employees and you start having, back end paperwork, you're not flooded with that. You have an accountant on your side that can help you. And then I was the insurance agent. The big thing being with an insurance agent that I can recommend is, if you go with a big box insurance agent like Progressive, Geico, State Farm, anything like that, they typically only have one kind of business insurance. So here's our business insurance, here's what we cover. It's not specialized in any way. which might be fine for you. You obviously can make that decision on your own when you talk to that insurance agent. That may be all you need. You're just running a side hustle or a basic business and you don't really need anything fancy right now. But if you're running a corporation or you have a lot of employees or you're running a specified type of business or a specified type of industry, you may need a specialized insurance quote. So you want to go to an insurance broker that specifically is in your industry and familiar with your industry. And then bankers, of course, let me see. Oh, perfect. Angela put in the chat. They'll have legal office hours program on Tuesday, March 9th, presented by Legal Services of Eastern Missouri. Startup or newly formed business owners or nonprofits can ask questions. And that is, I mean, that's invaluable. If you just have general questions and a lawyer's sitting there, you can just ask them. You know, they're not going to be able to give you obviously like 3 hours of their time, but having somebody to bounce those basic questions off of and get an idea of where to start, that's definitely a good resource, and the STL library will be doing that. So Tuesday, March 9th. And then also the organization mentioned there, Legal Services of Eastern Missouri. They offer, it depends on kind of your economic status and those kinds of things, but they do offer free law services for certain individuals as well. So bankers, I mentioned the SBA.gov website a little bit earlier. If you don't have a relationship with a banker or a lender already, there's a tool on there. If you go to their funding tab called Lender Match, and it's really easy to use. You just go on SBA.gov, find the Lender Match tool under the funding questions, and you click on that, type in your name, email, and I think maybe your phone number. It's very simple to use. You hit new request, and a banker or a lender will get back to you within 48 hours. Or 2 business days, I should say. So if you do it on a Friday, you might want to give it a full 2 business days. And if they don't, for whatever reason, there is a little tool on there where you can go back to that same screen and click existing requests, and it will bump you up to the top of the queue. But I've never heard anybody have any problems getting in touch with a lender or banker through that tool. So that is a good tool for you if you don't already have an established connection with a banker or a lender. The next one up on the docket is family business. So on this slide particularly, I kind of use the tug of war image there. You see him tugging on the rope. That's kind of what it can feel like in a family business sometimes, I think, for some people. But there are some things you can do to avoid that. You know, you've got your family history intersecting business history. So taking the business back to the dinner table with you, whether that be with the spouse or significant other that you're starting a business with, a brother or sister, or maybe you're going back home to a mom and pop shop, and taking over that. There are problems that can come up with that. So you just want to keep in mind, try to keep your business separate from your family history as much as possible. Change can be difficult to implement. You may have a brother or sister or a spouse that's hard-headed. You both want to do things your own way, and you kind of come to a gray area where you don't know who's making the decisions. So something you can do from the very beginning, before you ever open your doors and you're writing your business plan, is hammer out those roles. Who is going to do what in my business exactly? So who is going to handle the day-to-day? Who's going to handle the back-end stuff as far as hiring and firing and counting and making sure the bills are paid and all those things? And who's going to handle the big picture stuff? You know, those are things you can talk through and have in your business plan from the very beginning. So there's no gray area as to who's making decisions, or when something comes up, it's not a big family fight. The next one up is employee to ownership. So there's lower personal risk with this. This could look like maybe if I'm starting out a W-2 job, I'm looking for a W-2 job, I should say, and I have a mentor or a family friend from back home, and they are sort of, you know, looking to hand over their business at some point to somebody, not necessarily looking to sell, because they want a trusted individual that learns the business from the ground up. So they hire me as a day-to-day manager, or, you know, just an office manager, whatever it may be, operations manager. And I learned that business from the ground up. So I'm learning everything from A to Z, exactly how everybody functions in that business. With that comes lower personal risk. Great way to learn the industry because I'm learning the day-to-day myself by working in it. Rewards of business ownership delayed. Yes, you're going to wait over time. It could be something you have an agreement for 2 years from now, I'm going to take over the business. Or maybe you say, after I accomplish A, B, and C, or I learn A, B, and C, I'm going to take over the business. Whatever you decide on the front end, you just want to stick to that as much as possible and learn the industry. And eventually with that agreement, you are going to take over that business. Less control, limited autonomy. Yes, that is a given, especially at the very beginning. If you see something that may need to be changed, it depends on what kind of relationship you have with that current owner. You may be able to say to them, hey, I think we should do this, change this up, and it will help. And they may be receptive to that, or they may be stuck in their ways. So that's just something to keep in mind. And with this as well, I would always recommend having something in writing. If it's not in writing, it probably doesn't exist. That's just a good rule of thumb. So have something in writing as far as, you know, after I do A, B, and C, I'm going to take over the business, or maybe it's a time period over 2 years. If I work in the business, I'm going to take over the business. So what doesn't happen is at the end of that time period, or after you accomplish A, B, and C, that owner can't say to you, you know, everything's going so great with you as the operations manager or the day-to-day manager. And profits are through the roof. I'm really not ready to give it up. And then you're kind of stuck. You either can just stay in that role that you're currently in, or you're back to square one looking for another opportunity in entrepreneurship. So you don't want that to happen. Obviously, having a lawyer draft up some sort of legal document, or even if you do it yourself, just some sort of document where you both sign and you both agree to protect yourself on the front end. And the next one up is franchising. Everybody kind of knows what franchises are. You know them when you see them. You've got McDonald's, Starbucks, big box gyms like Planet Fitness, Club Fitness, Anytime Fitness, Snap Fitness, all those sorts of things, Supercuts, Sport Clips, Great Clips. Anytime you go throughout the country, or you're in the St. Louis Metro, for example, and you see multiple locations, those are more than likely independently owned franchises. There are smaller franchises as well. So, you know, I'm using McDonald's and Starbucks as examples because they're kind of the ones that are easy to grasp. But there are smaller franchises you might not even know are franchises that have multiple locations. So with franchising, there's pros and cons, just like anything else, advantages, disadvantages. You see on the right-hand side there, I'm going to focus on the first two, franchise fee and royalties due. That is definitely something you want to consider. You're going to have the upfront franchise fee. And what are you buying into with that? And the royalties due. Question we get asked a lot for royalties is, if I buy into a franchise and say for the first year, I'm not making a profit, are they still going to take royalties on the back end? Usually the answer is no. It's not 100% tried and true. That type of stuff is going to be spelled out in what's called franchise disclosure documents before you ever sign on to be an owner for that franchise, or a franchisee for that corporation, I should say. So you're going to want to go through that with a lawyer or with a second set of eyes at the very least. So what are you buying into with that franchise fee and the royalties that are due? Maybe it's biannually, annually, or quarterly. What are you buying into that with that? You're buying into the proven idea and the recognized brand. So those two bullets on the left-hand side there, those are the biggest advantages, I would say. If I am operating and owning a McDonald's, I'm going to be a franchisee for them. I have my location set out. I know exactly what I want to do. It's McDonald's. So people already know what they know about McDonald's. They know I'm going to have a drive-through. They know it's going to be relatively fast. They know that no matter where they go in the country, if they see a McDonald's, it's going to have about the same menu. There may be some regional items at different McDonald's, but for the most part, you can get a burger and fries anywhere you go as far as McDonald's in the country. And then if they want to order a chocolate shake or a McFlurry of some sort, the ice cream machine is always going to be broken, even if it's a brand new ice cream machine. So those are the proven idea, the recognized brand, the things we already know about McDonald's, just using that as an example. So I don't need to go out there and, you know, open up this big fancy billboard or do a bunch of advertising, because people already know who I am. They know what I do. They know what our brand is. Training available and accounting and management support, those two kind of go hand in hand. Any franchise that is worth their salt is going to put you through kind of a vetting process, a pretty rigorous vetting process to make sure that you have your finances in order, that your personal assets are in order, so you can take the best care of that franchise. What they don't want to do is sell off their brand and then, you just run it into the ground. So they're trying to protect themselves on the front end that way. And any franchise that isn't doing that vetting process, that should be a red flag to you, because they are probably losing a lot of money as a corporation or a company, and they're looking to just sell off as many franchises as they can to recoup that value. So any franchise that's worth their salt is going to do a pretty rigorous vetting process, credit history, all those sorts of things on you. Lower risk than a new business. That one is obviously a good advantage as well. Lower risk, and you could get higher rewards. Business, there's some disadvantages listed here as well. I'm going to check my time. Yeah, coming up on time here, but we're good. Got about 15 minutes. I'll leave some time at the end for any questions or answers. Supplies only from franchisor. They may have those supply lines already agreed to, so you can't break that. You can't go find something just because it's a little cheaper. A regional disconnect, that goes back to doing your own research, doing your secondary market research on the front end, just calling up franchisees in the area and saying, how do you feel about this franchise? Does everything run smooth? Is there anything I should be aware of? Lower level of control. And then that bottom one is not meant to scare you. Lower risk equals lower profits. Yes and no with that one. If I'm running a Starbucks franchise, I may not make as much per cup of coffee individually sold, but over time, I'm going to make up for that in volume. That's kind of the idea with the franchise like Starbucks or McDonald's. So find your opportunity. Opportunity equals problem plus solution. Challenge existing assumptions. Look for patterns or trends in the market. So how are your customers behaving? Is it trending up? Is it trending down? Is there something I can take advantage of in the market? Monitor changes in rules, laws, and regulations. Always, that's a must, because you don't want to open up a retail space or your first store, or whatever it may be, and then you get, you didn't check with the city hall and make sure that you had all your regulations, because they always have special regulations for different cities, different municipalities, and then you get a fat ticket on your door. That's what you don't want to happen. So just making sure you're on the up and up at all times. Conduct needs research. Focus on problems. So what is that original problem or pain point you were looking to solve? Are you focused on that? Or are you kind of drifting off to the side? That can happen sometimes. Happens to the best of us. Look for underutilized resources. Where are other people missing the mark? That's where I can find myself in my market. What are you good at? Hobbies, passions, personal experiences. So that one, that passion, that one in the middle right there, hobbies and passion kind of go hand in hand. It's good to have a hobby, and it's good to have passion, and that's going to help you get through the day-to-day grind of running a business. Anybody that's been in business already can tell you, it is a grind, especially after that first year, that honeymoon phase, whatever it may be. Everything's exciting, everything's new, but then you get into year 2, year 3, it may not be as exciting for you. It's kind of that day-to-day grind. You're looking to obviously excel and go as far as you can with your business, increase your profits. You're looking to, change and adapt, but drawing upon that hobby, that original passion that you had for your company, and remembering why you started that company or your entrepreneurship journey as a whole can really help you get through that grind. So I'm going to play a quick video for you here. Let me check my volume. Hold on just a second here. All right. This one was a kind of a TED Talk. I don't know if anybody's heard of Guy Kawasaki. He, as it says there, Chief Evangelista for Canva. So he's heavily involved in Canva, if anybody's used that for graphic design or anything of that nature. Former advisor to Motorola Business Unit and Google, and Chief Evangelist of Apple and Macintosh division of Apple. And he just talks about here, I think it's a good video, very quick, but making meaning of yourself through your venture.
The first thing I figured out and learned, Sometimes the hard way about entrepreneurship is that the core, the essence of entrepreneurship is about making meaning. Many people start companies to make money, the quick flip, the dot-com phenomena. And I have noticed in both the companies that I've started and funded and been associated with, that those companies that are fundamentally founded to change the world, to make the world a better place, to make meaning, are the companies that make a difference. They are the companies to succeed. My naive and romantic belief is that if you make meaning, you'll probably make money. But if you set out to make money, you will probably not make meaning and you won't make money. So my first thought is you need to make meaning. That should be the core of why you start a company. There are 3 ways to make meaning. First is to increase the quality of life. My background is a Macintosh division of Apple Computer, and I can tell you with total certainty that we were not motivated by making money. We were motivated by changing the world to make people more creative and more productive. We were trying to increase the quality of life for the Macintosh user. And that was a great motivation. It kept us going through many difficult periods. We were waking up in the morning thinking how we could change people's lives. A second way to make meaning is to right a wrong. You know, this fish is going to die after jumping out. But to right a wrong means that you find something that's wrong in the world, or you notice something that's wrong, or you want to fix that. This might be particularly applicable to not-for-profits where there's pollution, or there's crime, or there's abuse, and their very core is to end that wrong. And the third way to make meaning is to prevent the end of something good. That you see something beautiful, something wonderful, and you just can't stand the fact that it's been eroded, it's being changed, it's being ruined. So I ask you, as you start your companies, your not-for-profits, your churches, your schools, whatever you're starting, please have one of those 3 motivations, one or more of those motivations. If you don't have any of those motivations, I suggest that you rethink what you're doing. I think these 3 things are the key to starting a great organization.
All right. So that was Guy Kawasaki. I let the video speak for itself there. Whether you prescribe to these kind of TED Talks or not, I really like that video, talking about your passion and falling back on that when times get tough. It's kind of the idea behind that video. So here's more of that resource partner network as I kind of wrap up the presentation here. I'm going to leave some probably 5-10 minutes at the end for questions or just basic discussion. If anybody has any discussion points for me, we'll have some time for that. But this is that resource partner network I was talking about. We offer true business consulting. Our expert consultants help you make decisions based on what is best for you and your business. We are both entrepreneurs and veterans. That is speaking from the Veterans Business Resource Center side of things. A large part of our organization, the VBRC, is our veterans ourselves. So we know what you've been through, military spouses as well. We can help you get through any questions you're looking to get answered. We're here for you. Wide variety of resource partners and contacts that can help you through any situation. That goes for all the resource partners here. And I should mention that our services are completely free. I know that's definitely a good buzzword to throw in there, the free 99 whenever you can. But yeah, we are completely free. There may be at some point, if you're looking to get in like an advanced class or advanced webinar or a Gavology webinar on government contracting or something of that sort, there may be a fee associated with that. But if you're just looking for consultation or getting questions answered or anything of that nature, it's completely free. So why not use it? No reason not to. So reach out to us. Think VetBiz. There's our website right there. I'm going to post that in the chat as well after I get done with this slide here. But vetbiz.com, that is our website. It's very simple to navigate. You just go there. There's a request consulting button. You click that and you are good to go. Fill out your basic information and we'll get back to you usually within 2 business days as well. It's a good rule of thumb there. Socials, we've got on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Just think VetBiz as it says there. So you can search VetBiz on all those or Veterans Business Resource Center and you can find us there. We also do what's called a virtual coffee house every Monday morning from 8 to 9 a.m. This week, we just had Akeem Shannon. He was on Shark Tank. He's from the area. He went to DeSmet, I believe, and now he's back in the area in St. Louis after college and kind of going through his professional journey across the country. He was just on Shark Tank for Flipstick, and I don't know if anybody's aware of what they are, but they're kind of he used the technology from NASA basically, and it's kind of it sticks on any surface, so you can use it as a mount on the go basically. But he was on our last virtual coffee house, and we had a conversation with him. We do conversations on all different topics, whether it's marketing or just things going on in the region. It's not a presentation, so it's not like we're just sitting there speaking at you for an hour over slides like I am today. It's more of a conversation where we're asking, and wherever the conversation goes is where we go. So if you want to sign up for that, you can go to the vetbiz.com and just search under our events tab, and it's right there. It's really easy to register for. Other than that, I think, yeah, that leads me to the end. I just put a little picture of our website right there in the top right. If you go to vetbiz.com, that request consulting button is right there. As you can see, we have different tabs. The VBOC program, which is our Boots to Business and Reboot classes. We do a lot of those. So you can see the schedule there and sign up for those if you would like to. Resources, that's where you can find all of our resource partners. News and events like the virtual coffee house, and then our story and Make a Difference, those kinds of things. So you can definitely search that website there if you're interested. And I'm going to put in the chat here while I got a second, the link to the SBA.gov website as well. Oops, I'm going to put that to everyone. And does anybody have any questions or any discussion points for me? Definitely leave the floor open.
I'll ask a question.
Yeah, sure.
All right. What about like not a recent vet, but vet who's retired from Vietnam era and spouse and grown children? Could they get some help starting a business, some kind of small entity, some, not sure exactly which way we might want to go, but thinking about it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, whether you're a veteran, military spouse, or just part of a military family, we're here to help. Even if we don't have the right answer for you, like I mentioned earlier, maybe the SBDC is a better fit for your personal situation. So it just kind of depends on what your personal idea is, and we start drilling down into that, but we can definitely help you out.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Mary, I saw you raised your hand. Did you have a question?
Thank you. Yes. For someone who is not, I am a family member of a military vet, but for someone who is not a military veteran, who is just trying to get together steps towards starting a business, what would you suggest is the next best step after listing skills and aims and mission and all that?
Well, there's something you may want to look up in your free time when you get a little time. It's called the Lean Business Model Canvas.
Okay.
You can find it on Google. There's a bunch of free, templates out there, or you can go on the SBA.gov website and you can find one. But that's kind of I like to think of the Lean Business Model Canvas. It's kind of what you're working towards your business plan on. Kind of a sticky notes version of a business plan. It's got 9 different boxes broken up by segments, and each segment's kind of got a description there. And you just think about, what's my idea? Who are my customers? How do my customers want to be reached? What do I need? What people, places, and things do I need? So it's that basic, kind of get your mind thinking about that. That's definitely something you can start working on now.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. And I should mention, yeah, go ahead.
I just wondered if what I'm just trying to get myself to stick with this just dream at this point. If I go through those steps, do they suggest a next step from there, or maybe even they suggest many next steps?
Yeah, I mean, something you can do that on your own if you're just kind of looking to muse about it right now. And then I would definitely recommend going to a resource partner after that, or even before that if you wanted to. You can come to us. We've had people come to us literally with an idea, and that's all they have. And then we have people come to us with a full-fledged business plan. So any point in your business, we're here to help and we can help you. So if you go to that resource partner, first thing they're probably going to ask you, whether it's the SBDC or SCORE, or if you come to the VBOC, first thing we're probably going to ask you is, what's your idea? And then we kind of work up from there. So if you have that business model canvas already done on your own in your free time, that gives us something to work off. But we can help you no matter where you're at.
Thank you so much for all that you've done. Thank you.
No problem. I saw a few other people raise their hand. I didn't see who it was though. Did anybody have anything for me? Yeah, I10, Dan, I saw that. I10stl.org is a great organization as well. It helps companies lean canvas training several times a year. So I'm sure they might house some of the webinars on there as well. They might do that. So I10stl.org.
Thank you.
No problem. Did anybody else have a question?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Yes, I have a question that how about if I need to get some training, like for computers or like Canva or doing something like that? Is this possible that I can get some training before I start anything?
Yeah. I'm going to actually put in the chat one of our resource partners. I'm going to put their website in there right now, but it is SCORE, which is Service Corps of Retired Executives. That's what SCORE stands for. They do a lot of different webinars as far as, I keep doing that. I keep private messaging people. So I'm sorry, Dan, I private messaged that to you, but I'm going to put the website in there now. They do a lot of different webinars on different topics as far as, marketing, or if I'm looking into digital marketing or Canva or things like that, specialized. Sometimes they're general, sometimes they're specialized, but they house a lot of different webinars on there that you can join live, or you can join, sorry, my dog's barking now, that you can join live, or you can just watch on demand. So SCORE is a great place to start with that. And SCORE also offers one-on-one mentorship. So if you have specific questions and you want consulting on specific subjects, SCORE might be a good resource for you. You just click on that website and then you go to request, I think it says request mentorship, and you fill out your basic information and somebody will get back with you. So that could be a good resource as well. Other than that, just generally signing up for newsletters is a good rule of thumb if you're looking to get that general knowledge, because everybody's doing webinars right now. Everybody from Adobe to, a little organization like the Veterans Business Resource Center, everybody's doing webinars right now. So if there's a specific company you really like Canva, maybe Adobe newsletter is something you can get signed up for. So they send out those webinars to you, or signing up for the SBA or the VBRC newsletter. So you get, when things pop up, you have those on your inbox. And if something catches your eye, you can just grab it real quick.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
No problem. Hopefully that helps.
Yes, thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions for me? I know it's only an hour, so I can't really get too deep into everything business, but hopefully that gives you a basic overview. I talked about financing a little bit, mentioned it briefly. I know that's a big subject for a lot of people, but if anybody has any questions, I would encourage you to reach out. Let me put my personal email in the chat box as well, if anybody has anything, but feel free to reach out. It is Fitzpatrick@vetbiz.com. So there that is. Are there any last questions before we let you all go? I know I'm a little bit over here.
We can take one last question. It looks like Mary has her hand raised.
Well, I wasn't going to ask. I was just going to say thank you. And just the wealth of opportunity here and all these resources just reminds me of this probably doesn't exist in many other countries. And it's another reason to thank you and all veterans. So thank you.
Of course, no problem. I thank you all for coming on. I wish when I first separated from the military, I didn't know about all this stuff. So I wish I would have known, but my job now is definitely to get the word out there. Even if you're not a veteran, like I mentioned, SBA all of our resource partners, SBDC, they're not veteran focused, so they can help you as well. And we all work together. So we all know each other. We all work together and we'll help you out.
All right. Well, I'll remind everybody also to please keep your lookout on the St. Louis County Library website, because sometimes there are some of the training and technical courses offered as well. Mitchell, thank you so much for your very comprehensive presentation, and just for joining us this afternoon. This has been wonderful, and I know that all of our patrons really received just a wealth of information, so we really appreciate it.
No
Taking
problem.
your time. And to our patrons, thank you all so much for joining us. We really appreciate you all just allowing us to be able to serve you. And this is going to conclude our program for today. Everybody get out and enjoy the sunshine. Like Mitchell said, we couldn't say this this time last week, but everybody enjoy, and thank you all so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.